it's Ken Kraetzer for Sons of the American Legion Radio at West Point. Army wins their sixth game of the season, 49-3 over Mercer University. Army now 6-1 on the season, accepts a bid to the Independence Bowl, which will be in December in Shreveport, Louisiana, against a Pac-12 team, and that will be something. A big week for Army at West Point. Yesterday, Army, as the host team, offered and was accepted to host the Army-Navy game here in mid-December, which is going to be an extraordinary day. And in 2 weeks, they will play Air Force here on national television on the big CBS in what's going to be as people have said, steel versus steel game. Two very good teams playing, competing. It's going to be one of the most competitive games we've seen here at Michie Stadium. Maybe it's not the last time Air Force was here. Think of the win over Duke 2 seasons ago here and some of the others. It's going to be one of those kind of games next week. Now, let's break down today's game. Army again played two very young quarterbacks. Started Cade Ballard, who played the first series, the first drive, which ended up in a 53-yard touchdown pass he threw to Tyrell Robinson. That was a 7-play, 75-yard drive. It followed a 15-play drive by Mercer where they got a field goal, their only score of the game. Their quarterback was throwing a lot of good touch passes and frustrating the Army defense, but Army answered right back with the 53-yard pass from Cade Ballard to Tyrell Robinson. Later in the first quarter, actually moving into the second quarter, Cam Jones, Army defensive back, intercepted a Harrison Frost pass and got the ball back to the Army offense, who went 39 yards, 11 plays, culminating with a Sandon McCoy 1-yard touchdown run, the first of 3 1-yard runs for touchdown for Sandon today. That followed later in the second quarter after a blocked punt by Army by Rike Donaldson. That got Army the ball back, and they went 38 yards on the short field, culminating again with a Sandon McCoy 1-yard touchdown run. So that was our score at the half, 21-3. Landon Sawyers with 3 extra points, but he did miss a 39-yard field goal attempt at the end of the first half. And later in the postgame, Coach Munkin said that he wished he'd called a timeout to be able to run one play to center the ball instead of doing that kick off of the hash mark, the kick going left. And but 21-3 at the half. Going into the second half of play, Cade Ballard took after the opening kickoff a good run back by Tyrell Robinson, and then there was a penalty added. So Army only had to go 40 yards in 8 plays, culminating in a Cade Barnard. We have to separate Cade Barnard, the fullback, from Cade Ballard, the quarterback this year. It's confusing for everybody until you get to know the players a little bit better. But Cade Barnard, the fullback, generally the number 3 fullback right now, 3-yard run with the Sawyers kick, 28-3. And then later, Sandon McCoy, a 1-yard touchdown run after a 59-yard drive by Army. Landon Sawyers kick. And later, late in the third quarter, Jabari Moore, third interception of the day for Army, but this time he runs 29 yards with the interception and scores. Quinn Maretsky kicked the extra point for Army to make it 42-3. And in a last drive that really was very well run by, mostly by Maurice Ballard, one of the quarterbacks in the Army roster. After Christian Parrish ran a few plays, it put Maurice Ballard in, who Coach Munkin had said it was really the number 4 quarterback, really after Jabari Laws and Christian Anderson and Jamel Jones earlier in the year. But down, as you know, down in Texas, San Antonio, uh, Cade Ballard played for Army, as did Tyree Tyler. Both played very well. They both played very well today. And so Army went down the field with Maurice Ballon doing most of the quarterback duties. Went 91 yards, 17 plays, ate up 10 minutes of the clock, really just ate up the fourth quarter, and scored on a Jordan Blackman 6-yard run. And after the game, I asked Coach Munkin about it. He was so happy that Jordan Blackman had been able to score that touchdown, a senior, a player who had been mostly on the scout team and had played some special teams, made some travel team rosters, and a very well-liked senior on the team. And Coach Munkin admitted he tried to set him up to score the touchdown, and had to run 6 yards and carry a couple of tacklers into the end zone, but he did. He wanted that touchdown to talk a bit to his children and grandchildren about that he scored a touchdown at Michie Stadium playing for the Black Knights, and he will be able to tell that story. Hopefully some other very good ones from this year. Quinn Moretsky got the extra point there. So the final score 49-3 for Army, and after the game, they did receive the bid to the Independence Bowl in Shreveport and accepted that on the spot very gratefully. Army still felt the sting of not going to a bowl game last year after 3 years in a row of going and winning bowl games. So that will be something to look forward to figure out if we can all get there. Travel considerations, quarantines affecting it, but there is a big Army base in Louisiana, Fort Polk. Actually, that's where a lot of National Guard members have gone to train before deployments, and very historic, goes back to World War II, when a lot of training before sending soldiers overseas was done at Fort Polk. I'm talking myself into wanting to go and visit and seeing it, actually. So we'll see what happens. Army today, 297 yards rushing. Mercer 113, and Army ran for 4.7 yards a carry, and passed for 63 yards. Just 2 of 3. Got a fourth quarter completion after the 53-yard touchdown early. 16 of 24 for Mercer. Their quarterback, I thought, started to feel the pressure of the Army defense and started to make bad throws later in the game after he looked pretty effective on the first drive, taking his team down the field for a field goal that they made their only points of the game. And so offensive yards, Army 360, Mercer 221. Army had 2 fumbles. We didn't get a chance to ask Coach Munkin. It seemed like such a positive conversation, but there were 2 fumbles of snap during the game, which I think is a concern. There had not been any last week, despite using two young quarterbacks. 4 penalties for Army. Good punting by Zach Harding. Averaged 51 yards on his punts. Today, it was one booming drive that the kick returner from Mercer just had to run back 10 yards and try and catch the ball over his shoulder. It was such a good punt. Zach Harding nominated for the Ray Guy National Punter of the Year Award in last couple of weeks. Looking over some of the offensive stats for Army, Tyree Tyler led in rushing today, 78. He had a 30-yard run in the second half. Nice move. We're talking a little bit with our Army football huddle participants, Sam Houston, and this week we had Steve Shalou, the former Army guard, class of 92. And they were talking a little bit about needing to improvise a little bit on the offense, and I saw Tyree move a little bit to his left. It was kind of a counter play, and then step right, and I don't know if he had an option to do a pitch on that play, but look, he just saw daylight and and ran for it, used his speed, went down the sideline, and went for 30 yards and setting up a touchdown. Tyson Riley got in the game, a new player for Army. I hadn't seen him before. We'll try and meet him during the week if we can. He had 48 yards in the game, mostly late, but that's pretty good. That's how you get yourself recognized for bigger spots. Ricky Donaldson had one nifty reverse play, ran for 29 yards. We talked about Army needing to improvise a little bit. And Ricky Donaldson, the wide receiver, cut back and ran, found daylight, 29 yards. He also blocked a punt that resulted in a short field for Army's offense and a touchdown. Tyrell Robinson, 5 runs for 27 yards today, and he also had a nice, they were getting the ball out to him, and they had a nice pitch and a nice reverse that he ran. Santa McCoy, 3 touchdowns on 19 yards, 8 carries. Certainly, he's economical on his running, but as Coach Munkin said, he understates how difficult that is to pound your body into a mass of players and utilize your offensive line to be able to make that play possible. Doing it 3 times today, 3 one-yard runs, but those are the toughest yards in football. That last yard for a touchdown, and Santa did it 3 times today. And Jordan Blackman, 19 yards, ran twice and scored a touchdown. We just mentioned that. That really pleased Coach Munkin, and one of those moments that you can be very happy for a player. We'll see if we can catch up in an interview with Jordan this week. Jacoby Buchanan, 19 yards. Maurice Bellin, in a quarterback, 18 yards. Ned, and he played that last drive, moved the team effectively, and shows poise for the future. And Cade Ballard, 19 yards, ran 6 times, and 15 yards on the day. And A.J. Howard at 10 yards. Christian Parrish gained 8. And Alwan Marshall got in the game for 1 carry and 4 yards. And I'm sure he was excited about his 4 yards in the game, getting in and contributing. And being noticed is a big deal for everybody in sports. Passing, Tyree Tyler made 1 throw incomplete. Maurice Bellin, 1 for 1, had a 10-yard completion, and Cade Ballard had the play of the day, 53-yard pass to Tyrell Robinson in the opening drive for Army. A beautiful pass. Robinson went up from the left side and cut over the middle, was wide open, and he was perfectly led by Cade Ballard near the sideline, and nobody else had a chance to get the ball but Tyrell, and he used his speed to get to the ball, caught it, just ran, beat some defenders, and scored his touchdown. Also a catch by Cole Caterbone, another young player, got in the game today. We talked about Zach Harding. Just 1 punt today. I thought he had 2, but he had it did go for 56 yards, and that's just another extraordinary punt. I said he drove the defender that 10 yards back, had to run, catch it over his shoulder, so again, helped the Army on positioning, and that could become very important in these big games coming up for Army against Air Force. Even the game against Georgia Southern is going to be a real competitive battle, and the game down at Tulane, and then obviously the Navy game and the bowl game. So it's going to be all tough games for Army, all very competitive games left. Let's take a little look at the defense for a second, which was interesting when I looked at the stats. Linebacker by the name of Spencer Jones, a freshman, was at the top of the list with 7 tackles, 3 solos, and 1 tackle for a 5-yard loss. And John Radican had 7 tackles today. And we asked about Spencer Jones, and Coach Monken said good young defensive player, plays special teams, and one of those players that we're going to probably see more of as we are going down the stretch of the season. This is one of those rival games for a player like Spencer Jones. We'll look forward to doing an interview. Cedric Cunningham, 5 tackles. Today, Eric Smith had 5 also. 1 tackle, sack. The only sack for Army on the day. Malcolm Morrison, 4 tackles. Cameron Jones, 4. Markel Broughton had 4. 3 each by Fabrice Voyne, a new player for us. Kyler Komorowski had 3. Leo Lowen had 3 tackles. Kobana Bansu, good to see Kobana back on the defensive line at 3 tackles. Jabari Moore had 2 tackles, as well as his interception, run back 29 yards for a touchdown. Jeremiah Lowry at linebacker, 2. Nolan Cockrell, 1, as did Ryan Duran, Andre Carter, Julian McDuffie, Darian McDonald, Isaiah Morris, Henderson, I don't know his first name, it starts with a K, Jordan Funk, Cole Mabry, Wilson Cateau got in, who's made some big plays over the years, had an assist today, and Nathaniel Smith, Jack Howe, Richardson, Chris Frey, Chris Schuyler's, who went out, he was shaken up in the game, and Rike Donaldson got a block, a defensive stat for Riken, who is a very fine young wide receiver for Army. So a very good win for Army, game they expected to win. But again, a very game team from Macon, Georgia, Mercer University, who one of the schools that when Army needed to fill out its schedule when 9 games were canceled in August, they were one of the schools that raised their hand and said, yeah, we'd like to come up to West Point and play Army, and it'll be a challenge, but they would enjoy that challenge. And like the other teams that have been here this year that were added to the schedule in August, like Middle Tennessee State and Louisiana Monroe and the Citadel, when they came here, they raised their hand. They said, yeah, let's go up and play at historic Michie Stadium. Let's let the players and staff have a chance to see West Point and visit. Actually, a number of the teams have stayed at the Thayer Hotel, which if you've ever stayed at the Thayer Hotel or visited, is just extraordinary. All of the Army memorabilia that is in the lobby, and it just feels like West Point. My parents stayed there in the 1940s when my dad was a young Army officer, newly commissioned. And if you ever go to my wife and I were there for a wedding, and we stayed in a room, and it was very nicely laid out. We were very privileged to be in one of the suites there at the Thayer Hotel, which honors a Army hero, a Medal of Honor recipient, an incredible amount of memorabilia, photos about that individual. And we thank our friend Dan Rice for that, and they have the Thayer Development Leadership Program too. So that's been something for the teams to experience, and I think one other new school has never been here before, Georgia Southern, will get that opportunity. I have to say, exciting news for Army to host the Army-Navy game here at West Point. Lots of logistics yet to be worked out in terms of when the Brigade of Midshipmen will be able to be transported up here to participate. We're wondering if they take the train. If you see a lot of the old Army movies from the 1930s and 40s, even 50s, they took the train to a lot of games. And there still is the train platform just below on the Hudson River, right by the heliport, just below Eisenhower Hall. Well, let's say goodnight for today from West Point. Army wins 49-3 over Mercer, goes to 6-1, and accepts a bid to the Independence Bowl. For everybody at the Sons of the American Legion and the 2 million veterans of the American Legion, this is Ken Kraetzer from West Point.